I had so many emotions when I sat down and watched this episode, because something like this, it made me happy. It was a happy sad, because something like this does happen in everyday life. This is something that does happen to children. And when I saw this episode, and I saw Kaio, you know, happy, and she, like, wakes up, and she looks down, and you see the visuals showcasing how she usually woke up when she was with her parent, her mother. She would have some yen coins, and then she would have cup ramen. And then she would eat alone in the middle of the snow for the morning breakfast. And it was cold. And then, when it cuts from that, you see this, you know, this toast, bacon, eggs. You see all this. You see soup. And she sees the differences between the upbringing of Satoru and herself. And that scene, my god, is probably one of the best scenes of this year I have seen. Like, out of all the anime I've seen so far from 2016, that was probably by far one of the best scenes yet. That's going to be fucking hard to beat, because the meaning behind that, it's so sad because of how much pain and suffering she's went through. And then you see how she, at the very least at this moment in time, she's happy. And you know what I'm sad about right now? With the way this series is, I'm willing to bet that something's going to happen. This happiness that Kaio currently feels is probably going to be shattered very soon. And I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for Kaio to have her entire hope shattered and have to deal with her mother that's pretty much a bitch and trying to torture her own damn daughter. I'm not ready for that, because Kaio's probably going to have something awful happen to her before this series is said and done. And I'm just not ready, because seeing her happy when she got to spend time with Satoru, it was like she had a real mother figure for once. I just couldn't help but smile, and I was happy for her. I mean, because things like that happen. There's like situations like that in everyday life where there's probably children out there that have to deal with something like that. And when you see something like that, it just lets you know that we're getting to see a side of, you know, humanity. Like, cruelty and then kindness of humanity. I'm like, my god, when you see how the mother is just taking care of her. And throughout this entire episode, when I was watching it, and I was thinking, like, Mother of the Year, Mother of the Year, Mother of the Year. I mean, what she did in this episode was 10 out of 10. What if Satoru's mother decided to adopt Kaio? Like, what if that's a thing? Like, is that a thing? Is that gonna probably happen? Because the way I saw this episode, the way it's being depicted to me as the viewer, it looked like it was being set up for a possibility of Kaio being adopted. Like, she was going to go to an orphanage, because, you know, she's going to be taken away from her parents, or her parent, and she's going to be adopted. And I can see Satoru's mother adopting Kaio to give her a proper upbringing. And I feel like something like that's probably going to happen. I mean, before the series is said and done, like, before everything wraps up and all that, I feel like there's probably going to be an episode focused around maybe Satoru's mother kind of signing papers and trying to adopt Kaio, which I would love that. That would be a wonderful, wonderful scene to see. A very good sight to see when it comes to this series. But yeah, I mean, this episode, man, it really fucking hit me. Like, I am really emotionally moved after this episode. Say what you will, I have a heart, and when I see something like this, when I see something that can really be realistic, and something like this could kind of happen to a child, and seeing how they can be really happy, it was on point. Like, the visuals were on point, and the music was on point, along with the voice acting. I mean, what really got me sad is when you see the flashes of the food, and then you see her starting to tear up, and she's crying and stuff, and I'm like, bro, just stop. It's so sad. It's so sad. And because, you get my point. It's just that sad. It's a fucking sad scene. Like I said, best fucking scene, like the best moment so far of 2016. That's gonna be fucking hard to beat. Okay. So, besides that, let's talk about some other scenes. So, apparently the killer actually was in that bus where Kaio has been staying. That person we saw at the end of last week's episode, that cliffhanger, that was actually the killer. So what we all expected, it turned out to be true. It was the killer walking in there, and the killer left behind his goods. For instance, that would be to kill Kaio or kill other people. He left them there in a box. And we don't really know exactly what that really means. I mean, We don't know if the person that entered the bus knew if Kaio was really there or not, or if it was just a strange coincidence, but whatever the case may be, the killer was definitely angry. Very, very angry because of whatever Kaio is doing, and probably can't get away with what he really wants to do. He or she. We don't even know if it's a male or a female, but judging by the way we've seen kind of the face of the person in the future, I'm assuming it's a male. So, the main question is like, was the person angry, or did the person know that Kaio was there? A lot of questions I have, but even though the Kaio situation is kind of almost getting fixed, we have to factor in that there is other murderers. Like, there's other murders. There's other murders going on besides Kaio. For instance, as we know, Kaio, she was the first among many. And then there's many after her. So, since the events are being changed, like the entirety of history is being changed, that means that the killer is going to have to do different type of moves. He's going to have to choose different ways to take his, motives, or frame another person. And the way it's looking, I'm assuming it's being set up for something maybe along the lines with a mother or something. Because, you have it to where she's the perfect candidate for being targeted right now. She's taking care of Kaio. She hasn't really called anyone. She hasn't, called the police or anything. So it kind of puts her in a bad situation. I could see something like that leading to her as well. But it's not just that, though. We also have it to where other people are going to be abducted and killed very soon. And we also had a girl that was walking across the road that we got to see her name tag, but there wasn't really any other scenes after that. We didn't get to see what else about that girl. So I want to assume that she's probably already dead. Since time and history and all that's being changed right now, I'm assuming that girl that was shown in the earlier part of this episode is probably already long dead, and then the next victim's coming up. And, I wonder exactly if there is going to be another redo, because as it was said in the recent episodes, the MC is probably in his final rewind. Like, he can no longer change the past. And if this is the actual truth, that would mean that whoever dies from this point on is dead for fucking good. So there's no going back. And if so, that's pretty fucking bad. I wonder how the MC's gonna, fix all this, because of, he can't rewind again. That means people stay dead, they're gone permanently, and he has to figure out what to do, because that would mean anyone could die at that moment. So a lot of questions I have, but when it came to these episodes, though, fucking wonderful. Best episode yet of Boku dake. It's absolutely fantastic. A fantastic series that continues to stun me week by week with quality episodes that continue to make me have them feels. So yes, this episode, 10 out of 10. In my opinion, my entertainment-wise, 10 out of 10. And just pure entertainment, 10 out of 10. I was way too entertained watching this. And that is what I do. That's why I watch anime. For instance, I watch anime to be entertained. And that's what it get me. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.